I want us to keep in mind our theme for this year. Seeking and serving the needy. Good. You almost, you're getting there, okay? Seeking and serving the needy. Very good. Folks, we have 365 days to accomplish that mission. And guess what? One day is already past. Isn't it? One day is already gone. That's amazing. And as I was thinking about that, that's what hit me when I got up here. I said, I wrote that thing. We got 365 days to do this. And then I thought, no, we don't. When I get up here and kick this thing off, one day's already passed. And I thought, what a wonderful title for a lesson in Bible class. One day is already past. Got 4 things in this Bible class that we want to talk about. The first one is this. We need to be aware that time is rapidly passing, isn't it? Life begins and life ends. And sometimes when you look at a gravestone, what's in between there? A dash. Did you hear that? A dash. Doesn't that word accurately summarize what goes on between those two dates? It's just a what? It's just a dash, folks. We call it the 100-yard dash, the 200-yard dash. Folks, they're over in just seconds, aren't they? And life is exactly like that. It is just a dash. Let me ask you this. Are there ever times in our lives when we don't think that time is just flying by? I don't know about you, but when I'm sick, it seems like time just drags. You know what? I remember when COVID first started, and I got diagnosed with COVID. And I wasn't that sick. Kathleen had the flu at the same time. She's sicker than I was. And I thought, man, I got to stay in this house 14 days. That was the longest stinking 14 days. I thought, man, this will never get by. And there's other times when life seems kind of slow as well. Take, for instance, maybe when we're just all alone, right? Just all alone. And maybe you've been that way during the holidays. And you wake up and it's Christmas and you're just all alone, all by yourself. And you know it's a holiday. And it just seems like it's the longest day. It just drags on. And you're just thankful finally for it to come to an end. Because you're by yourself. But then, there's other times in life when we realize life is going a lot faster than we ever dreamed that it's going, isn't it? I don't know about you, but when I look at my grandkids, life is flying. Okay? My oldest grandson, Cole, is 16, almost 17 years old. I can't hardly believe that. I can remember the day that I came home from a mission work to see him for the first time after he was born. Okay, I missed his being born. I was stupid and left the country and didn't stay for that. But I got to see him and now he's 17 almost. If you don't think time flies, just take a few days off work. Some of you got to go back to work tomorrow. Ha ha. Okay, and you feel like you just got off work. But you've been off for 2 weeks, but it just flies by, doesn't it? Here's a point. Those who are able to harness times are the ones who use it the wisest. Those who are able to squeeze every second out of a minute are the ones who are truly successful. I find it interesting that Paul in Ephesians 5:16 says this, redeeming the time because the days are evil. What does Paul mean by that? Redeem the time. What's that little word redeem mean? Yes, to buy it up, folks. Okay? You better buy it up, right? We hear sometimes that there's going to be a scare of toilet paper, so what do people do? They buy it up, don't they? I remember when COVID first hit, I went to Walmart one day and a guy had a whole basket full of toilet paper. I said, dude, you know, he had all the good stuff, you know. Then you got to buy that hard stuff, don't you? But you know what he was doing? He was redeeming the paper. You know what? And that's what we need to do with time, folks. We need to buy it up, don't we? Because there's very little of it. To do this, we need to stay focused. We must stay conscious. We cannot get distracted. Folks, if you ever get distracted, even for a few minutes, it seems like it's very easy for hours to pass you by. You know what? So point number one, time flies. We're already one day, almost a day and a half into 2022. Point number two, you can't get back yesterday. Can you? Can't get back yesterday. Once time is gone, it is gone forever. You can't get it back. One man wrote this, there is nowhere to go to purchase an additional hour of time for your life. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Okay? Let's go to the time store. And you get to walk in and, I need 1 hour of time, please. Well, that'll be $5,000. But you know what? There'd be some people willing to give a lot of money for 1 more hour of time. You know that? Depending on where you are in your life. But there is no store where you can do that. And I don't care how much money you have, right? You can have $1 million, $10 million. You can be a billionaire. And guess what you can't do? You can't buy 1 minute of time. Not one. Once it's gone forever. Another wrote this, and I thought this is interesting. We can wish and long for yesterday, but it will never return. We can think about what we wish we would have done, but we can never do it. We can seek forgiveness for wasted time, but the time will always be spent. Folks, you want to know what the only thing is you have about yesterday? That's it. The only thing you have about yesterday are memories. That's it. Isn't it? Now, sometimes the memories are good, aren't they? Sometimes the memories are bad. Sometimes we have thankful memories, and sometimes we have memories of regret. You know what? One of the regrets that we could have is this. I wished yesterday I would have accomplished more. I just wasted it. Moses exhorts us with these words in Psalm 90, verse 10. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto recreation. Is that what he says? No. So teach us to number our days, so that we may apply our hearts unto, does anybody know what it says? Wisdom is what he says. Folks, we need to count our days, and we need to count our days wisely and use them wisely, because we don't have many, do we? Point number 3. Every day that passes is one day less to achieve. Do you know that? Every day that passes is one day less to achieve. One day is just how many hours? 24 hours. And sometimes here's what we say. We say, that just seems like so little time, doesn't it? Just 24 hours. And we think that we can just brush that off. Oh, well, I didn't get it done. Oh, well. Or maybe we think this, well, I'll do it at a later time. Wow. Folks, here's the truth. You ready? You can never make up for lost time. You can't do it. Okay? Let's assume that yesterday I was supposed to get a project done, right? And it was going to be about a 4-hour project, and I decide, nah, I'm not going to do it. But the project has to get done. I refused to do it yesterday, so now guess what I've got to do? I've got to find 4 hours somewhere to do it, don't I? But guess what? That means I've got to give up those 4 hours that I may have given it to something else. I may have to give up 4 hours of rest. You ever done that? You know, you didn't get something done, so what do? You get up 2 hours up early the next morning to get it done. And by the end of the day, you're worn out. Oh, I had to get up 2 hours early. Well, that's because you didn't do anything the day before. It could be a day with family. It could be a day of accomplishing another goal. It could be a day of learning. It could be a day of fun-filled activities. And you had to give it all up because what? I decided, I'll just waste it today. In reality, it is one day lost to waste instead of achievement. We could ask ourselves, what could I achieve today if I had not allowed the time simply to pass me by? What could have I done? Probably a lot. There's a man by the name of Sebastian Gorka, and he writes this statement as a rule of his life. Never put off until tomorrow what you can do today. In other words, if it is possible to get it done today, then what? Do it. Boy, if we put that in place, we get a bunch done, wouldn't we? A bunch done. Again, it seems like so little time, doesn't it? 2 hours, 3 hours, a day, just a few hours. Days, however, turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. You want to hear some statistics? In the United States, 8 hours and 48 minutes are the average time people dedicate for sleep. That's a third of your day just gone. Just kick back. 2.5 hours a day for media, TV and radio. Note, some people, especially young people, spend as much as 5 hours a day on their cell phones. The average cell phone is checked by individuals 80 times a day. Ding, 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 ding. There's people at the gym, guys. They set their cell phone down. They got their earplugs in. They do 10 reps and they look at their cell phone. And it's 5 minutes between the next repetitions. I'm going, man, how long are you at the gym? You're going to be here 2 hours, 3 hours working out like that. Can you imagine 80 times a day? You know what? It'd be wonderful if we just, every time we picked up our phone, we just made a mark, wouldn't it? To see how many times we pick up that phone and check it. Unbelievable. 63 minutes eating. That's pretty quick in the United States. You know that? There's other nations that take several more minutes to eat than we do. We got a lot of good fast food places though, don't we? 57 minutes of personal care. Okay, that's like brushing your teeth, showering, okay? Now, some take more, some take less. That's an average, you know. For some, you know, it's a couple hours. Huh? No, that's on a day. Okay? That's a day. 57 minutes in a day. Okay? And you know, I'll admit, you know, when I get up in the morning, I think it's about 35 minutes from the time I get up till I walk out of the shower fully done, 35 minutes. And I'm not even a woman. I don't put nothing on. Okay? Well, deodorant. Okay? Put a little bit of that on, but I don't have to do anything else. So, it takes some time to get yourself, Now, some people could spend a little more time. That's a joke. Here's the deal, folks. Time spent in one area of life cannot be spent in another area of life. You can't multi-time. Okay? Can't multi-time. Okay, you may do a few multitasks, but folks, for the most part, guess what? You can't multi-time. Okay, some things you just have to dedicate and focus your time on, don't you? 3 verses. Proverbs 27, verse 1. Now, this is because we think in our hearts, well, it's just 24 hours. There's tomorrow. Proverbs 27, 1. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may hold. Ooh-wee. Matthew 6:34. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Jesus is talking in that verse about worry. We'll spend half our day worrying about something that's going to happen when? Tomorrow, if it ever happens. And He says, don't waste your time doing that. You let tomorrow take care of tomorrow. Right? James says, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor which appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. Folks, you don't even know that you have tomorrow. I'll just do it tomorrow. And you wake up dead. It's done. You ain't doing nothing. But it's true, isn't it? You see, we put so much emphasis that I know I have tomorrow. No, we don't. We don't know that. The end of life can come in 2 ways, can it? How can the end of life come? And I'm talking about the life that we're presently living in this world. The end of life can come in 2 ways. How is that? We die, yes. And we don't know when that's going to be, do we? Or the trumpet sounds and Jesus comes. Folks, either one of those end our life here, doesn't it? Now, every day we live, we are one day closer to the end of life. That's point number 4. Every day we live, we are one day closer to the end of life. Now, let's assume, and I'm being very generous, let's assume that all of us in here are going to live to be 100 years old. That was sad about Betty White, wasn't it? Her birthday was January the 17th. And she missed it just a few days, being 100. That's sad. But folks, we don't know, do we? Let's use a ruler as a length of life. Okay? And each inch represents 10 years of life. Okay? So we're not even going the full ruler. Okay? We're going 10 inches. So there we are. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. That's how long your life. You're going to live to be 100 years old. Now notice what happens. We're going to divide each inch into tenths. Okay? Each inch stands for a 10-year period. Okay, so there's 10 little dots, if you could count them, in between each one of those. Okay, I know they're little, but there's a reason for that, okay? At first, as we start living our lives, guess what? It doesn't seem like we're losing much. Notice, that individual has lived 5 years of his life. Does it seem like much off the ruler? Not a whole lot. And if you go to 10, it still doesn't seem like you've cut off much of life, do you? So you see, those first few years of life, it just seems like what? Man, I'm going to live forever. There's not much difference between 90 years and 100 years. But then all of a sudden we wake up and we're 20 years old. But even then what? I still got a lot of time left, but at 50, it's half over, folks. It's half over. At 75, you're 3/4 of the way there. Now, I've been generous. I've given you 100 years. You know it? Look at there. Whew. Getting close. But folks, here's the point we want to make. We will eventually all reach the very last 10th of our life, the last year. You know that? And when that one drops off, guess what? It's over. Now, I said I was generous, and I was. The average age of men and women is around 80 to 85 years old. So if you are beyond 70 or 80 years old, guess what? We're approaching the last day. But the reality is, we don't know, do we? Have there been individuals die at 50, 25, 18? You know what? I may be living the last year of my life right now. And once it's cut off, it's over. Every day I live, I'm one day closer to what? To death. Do you remember what the rich farmer was told when he thought he had plenty of time left? Oh, man. I got all this stuff, all these goods. And I tell you what I'll do, I'll just tear down my barns and I'll build bigger barns and I'll put in all my things in those bigger barns. And God speaks. Thou fool, this night shall thy soul be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which are required of thee? Folks, let me tell you what. Today could be my last day. And I just put off the things that I feel are so important. Jesus said this, I must work the works of Him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Do you think Jesus understood the significance of time? I've got to do it what? While I've got time. While the sun is shining. Because I know that one of these days, the night's coming and no man can work then. We're beginning a new year with a new theme, aren't we? One day of 365 has passed, and soon this one will be gone. Here's the questions. My friends, how hard will we work to fulfill our theme in 2022? Seeking and serving the needy. Seeking and serving the needy. You know what it's not going to be long until? It's not going to be long until 2023. And we'll be looking back on 2022 to see how well we did or didn't do. You know, right now is the time to make that look, isn't it? Thank you.